Hi, my name is John Tisbury, and in this video we're going to look through my studio equipment. So what equipment do I use when I do a studio shoot? But first, the intro. So a number of people ask me what equipment do I use when I'm working in the studio. So I'm going to give you a run through of the sort of basic equipment, the standard equipment that I most often use. So I'll start with the stands and the lighting and then move across into the camera gear. In terms of lighting stands, I use a number of different types of stand. So there's this particular small one, or a medium height one, little Manfrotto, really sweet little tripod. So there's that one, lighting stand or tripod. If I need to go a bit lower, I have a floor one. So this just spreads. And you can see here a little spigot there, which accepts the light. The light can go in there, so it'll actually sit on the floor, or if I need to put it on a table or something like that. And then my more standard stand is this one, normal height. So I've got quite a few of these. Standard option really. So that's the stands. In terms of the lights, I use the Elinchrom. I've used Elinchrom since about 2003. I initially had the first set of styles that they put out, and then I've gone on to these, the RX. These are the 300s, which is ample power for my particular studio. My studio is 6 meters by 5 meters, so 6 meters long, 5 meters wide, and the 300 just is ample power-wise. These are fully digital, all controlled by the back there, and although they're a little bit more expensive, more to the middle to top end of the range in terms of a brand, I've found they've worked just faultlessly and haven't had any problems with them over the years. They're triggered by wireless, so it's got a little receiver built in to the back of the unit, just clips in there on the back. Can't get out this particular one. Oh, there we go, it's a bit stiff. So it just pushes in. Hopefully it pushes it. Oh, yeah, pushes in easier than it comes out. And they're triggered by a little trigger which sits on your camera hot shoe, and when you press the shutter button, and this is on, it'll then send a transmitter to the receiver and fire the flash. So nice and easy. Other accessories for the heads will be various types of reflector. So normal large ones, so wide angle, different types there, depending on the look that you're after. With those, with this particular type, you can fit additional modifiers as well. So I'll use quite frequently grids. So you'll see there a grid working. It cuts off the light, it channels the light in direct line, so it gives you a very thin, focused light. They just clip into the reflector like so. Little tab there for pulling them out. And there's different thicknesses of those. There's depending on what degree of grid that you want. That's an 8-degree grid, so it's a very narrow, focused beam. I've also got barn doors. Yeah. These fit on the front of the reflector and allow you to stop light from falling onto unwanted areas like the background or flare back into the camera and things like that. Nothing to do with barns, but you can see why they're perhaps called barn doors. The only barn I own, well, I don't own the barn, I own the doors. Other thing is a internal diffuser. So this has got a bar on here, or a tube, and that fits into the umbrella tube on the head. And then this faces out so that I am the flash basically, and that gives me a nice diffused flash when I use that. There's 3 different types of these that Elinchrom do. They do a metal silver coloured one and a metal gold coloured one. Other things in terms of lighting, it's big, is a Softbox. So this is, again, Elinchrom. It's the Rotolux one, it's a bit bulky for in here. It's the 130 by 50 centimetre, so strip Softbox with a really good grid on the front as well. So the grid that I've put on there, you can perhaps see the outer frame on that. And this is the egg box grid or the honeycomb grid. Again, works the same as the previous one that we looked at. I'll put links down below in the description for all of these items if you're interested. This is a 30-degree grid. I was looking for the label. There it is. It's by a company called Light Tools, a Canadian company. Very good, very well made grid. Again, had those quite some years and still going strong. Onto the metering. So I need to be able to meter the light falling onto my subject. Can't use the internal meter within the camera because the flash is so short. The meter just doesn't get a chance to recognize it. So we have to use a handheld meter to be able to meter the flash. And it's basically what you need, handheld meter. This is a fairly sort of second model up from this particular manufacturer, Sekonic. It's the L358, he says, just reading the little label on there. That works well. And the good thing with this is it records in tenths of a stop as well. So we can work in the studio to tenths of a stop. Other thing I have for controlling light, I have a pair of Velux blinds or roof lights, and they have got blackout blinds on them. So I can close them to completely black the room. So I have a black box, which then I can then add light to and see where the light is falling. And then once we've done the shoot, I can then reopen the blinds and allow the model to do makeup, rearrange clothing, and me to scrabble about in the corner looking for things. They're solar powered as well, so very economical and environmentally sound. Other things, memory cards, so obviously standard stuff, CF cards on my camera, batteries, spare batteries. These batteries are chunky, and last for ages. It's probably 4 weeks or so before I need to recharge one of these. Lenses wise, this is probably my go-to lens. This is on the camera 99% of the time when I'm doing studio work. It's a Nikon or Nikon, depending on where you live. It's the 24-70. It's the silent wave version, f2.8, super lens, very sharp, 2.8 all the way through, and gives great diffuse highlights, great bokeh, really great lens. As I say, probably 99% of the time that is on the camera. Now and again I'll use other lenses. My other go-to lenses are a small little cute prime 50mm lens, again a Nikon lens. This is a 1.4, so if I'm doing portraits and I want really narrow depth of field, so just the eyeball in focus and everything else blown out and in nice soft relief, then I'll switch to this bad boy. If I need to get in really close, then I'm onto my macro lens. This is the 105 macro lens, 2.8 aperture all the way through. Of course it would be all the way through because it's a prime lens, but you know. This is actually really old, probably a 1970s lens. I bought it from a dentist who used to use it for doing dental photography. I hadn't used it for dental photography, you'll be pleased to know, but still great lens. It is showing its age, if you listen. It's not a silent wave version, but still awesome lens, super sharp. And then finally my camera. I use Nikon, depending on where you live, a D3, and I've had that since they came out, well, a couple of months after they came out. This has really been through the wars. It's showing its age. It still takes great pictures, keep it clean by cleaning the sensor myself. It's had a new shutter mechanism because I wore the first one out. All the rubbers are now coming off again. I've had these all re-glued by Nikon when it went in for a service and a repair. So I'm fairly hard on my gear. And yes, it's working great, and eventually it'll need retiring and I'll upgrade to a later model. But for the time being, it's working great. So, oops, good job. It's a professional one. Doesn't mind a bit of hammering and banging about. And that is me. So I hope you found that useful. I will be doing future videos around my studio, so I'll be going through all of my props and equipment and give you a tour of the studio so you can see all the components that are in there and how I set things up, a few behind the scenes things. So if you're interested in that, please subscribe down below or in the bottom corner of the screen, and see you on the next one. All right, take care. Bye.